Well, hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we are live on a Sunday afternoon, which means it's time for us to talk about coping with stress. And today we're doing part two of a two-part series that I've been doing on opinions. And the previous last Sunday, for those of you who might have missed it, we talked about what it takes to form an opinion. What makes us get an opinion on something or have an opinion on something. And today, what I'm going to be doing is talking to you a little bit more about how do we deal with different opinions from people, but do so more politely. And I'm pretty sure we all would like to be able to do that, especially as a lot of people are going into another political um, series coming up and so forth. So I thought it'd be a really good idea for us to start practicing that. And for all of you, just before we get going, I just wanted to wish you a happy Canada Day for all the Canadians, um, of which I am one. And then also, of course, happy US Independence Day tomorrow for all the Americans. Hi, Jeannie. Jeannie's saying, hello, everybody. Cooked nearly 4 pounds of brisket all day in the crock pot for tomorrow. Yes, I'm sure you did that, and not surprised at all. And I know that some of you will be hosting a lot of neighbors. I've just come back, funnily enough, from a little community get together that one of my neighbors put on for um, Canada Day. And so it was really nice to get to meet some new people in the community. And I made a new friend, which was exciting for me. All right, so who are we? For those of you who don't know, Dear Mama Sal is not just me. It's a group of us who get together 3 times a week as we cope with our lives. And the reason I word it that way is because we all have things going right and going wrong, and surprises happening and so forth. And so all that we try to do as a group of people is to talk about how we cope with what's going on in the hope that it might help other people. And so my thanks to all the regulars who come here and discuss their realities, because I know it does help people, and just awesome. For those of you who don't know, I'm not a doctor, a psychologist, or psychiatrist, or anything like that. I'm just a human being that promised herself that if ever I got onto YouTube, I would talk about things that I thought might, it's sort of like, I wish I had known this when I was in my 20s, right? How many of you have had that feeling in your life? I wish I had known this earlier. And so my whole goal about coming on to YouTube was to actually say, what is it that I wish I had shared? Or I wish I had had knowledge of that other people that want to learn. Not everybody wants to grow emotionally or intelligently. Not everybody wants to do that, but those that do, is there a safe place for them to go and ask questions? And so feel free, if you've got a question or a topic that you'd like me to talk about, please make sure you send it to me at dearmamasal@gmail.com. All right, let's just carry on. First of all, thoughts and prayers for anybody who needs it today. I know sometimes we hear about it and sometimes we don't. So, my love to you all, and know that um, if you need some extra thoughts and prayers, we have a very powerful group of people from experience that put out some really good thoughts and prayers for people with some amazing results. I wanted to let you know that I had my fourth vaccine, whatever you want to call that. Is it my second booster or whatever? But it was the fourth one. It was the tiniest little amount. That's what really surprised me, right? It was like hardly worth giving it to me because it was such a small amount. Boy, did it pack a punch. And I'm really sorry for all of you that were waiting for a broadcast or two on Friday. I just didn't have the energy. I like to call it the bandwidth, right? It's just that I, I was so fatigued 48 hours after getting that shot that I really couldn't do a broadcast. I couldn't stand and do it. And I didn't even think I could sit and do it and stay conscious. You know what I mean? I just, I was amazed. I don't know what they put in there that was so powerful, but something was, that's for sure. Thoughts and prayers, first of all, for Lionel and Jody. Viewers, regular viewers know, Jody is my admin and does a wonderful job of supporting me, not only during the broadcast, but also during the week. And her husband, Lionel, suddenly got rushed to ER this week and had a whole batch of tests and scans and goodness knows what else done. and found out things about his body that he didn't know. And so he's going to be adjusting with that knowledge, and going to be changes, and none of us like changes. But boy, do we learn from each other about these changes. And one thing I do know is that Jody has been through huge changes in the last few years and has learned a lot that will help Lionel if he cares to listen. We understand he's a man, so he might not. No, it's just, it doesn't matter male or female, right? We all resist change. Hi there, Sharon. Good to see you. Really good to see you. By the way, I heard from Erin. For those of you who know Erin, she's just, let me give you a sort of synopsis of what she said. She said her liver enzymes have been holding stable, so they think everything's okay. Yeah, she's still got the kidney stones, but they don't think they require surgery at the moment. The exciting news is that on the 7th, she said she's going to have a new ceiling chair, right? One that they can hoist her up with, that's going to be molded specially to her body. And that is going to be amazing for her. So all the best, thoughts and prayers there for Erin, to hope that everything goes well with that and that she continues. By the way, her heart, I know that she had where did she say about her heart? Oh, my heart came out to everything being okay. You remember she had an ultrasound on her heart. So that's really good. Also, an update on Leah. She had her bypass surgery and then on her stomach, and then ended up with pneumonia. Nothing to do with the operation she'd had. Ended up with a very nasty bout of ammonia, and she was able to get home this week. So that is awesome. They obviously feel she's over the worst of it, and she was able to go home. So thoughts and prayers for Leah as well. I haven't heard from Autumn yet in terms of their vacation, nor have we heard back from Sandy since she returned from Portugal. So we'll look forward to hearing about all of that when they get back. Just a reminder for those of you who have hot weather now, please be aware that if it's hot for you, it's also hot for your pets. And so be aware of that and be thoughtful about that. Try not to take them out for a walk when the cement or tarmac is, just about melting. Think about what time of the day you walk them. Think about, are they getting enough hydration? And think about, maybe if you don't have air conditioning in your house, cooling them down with maybe a cold water towel, cooling them down every now and then as well, just to bring their body temperature down. Or if you're able to, walk them into the shower and rinse them off so that they can have that cooling effect. And talking about that, it is one of the tricks that I learned when I was in Africa. If you are dealing with very hot temperatures, it's a really good idea to go and have an extra shower or two. I like to, in this hot weather, actually not today, it's quite cool. But what I like to do is to go and stand in the shower. And then what I do, and I don't know if any of you have tried this, but you walk into the shower at the normal temperature you would have, all right? And then after about a couple of minutes, bring it down a little bit. You're going, oh no, Sal, that'd be too cold. You'll be amazed. Just bring it down a little bit. And you go, wow, that's nice. All right, because now it's a little bit cooling. And then once your body's got used to that, just bring it down a little bit more. I find that I can bring my water temperature down to at least a third of where I started. And that means that I brought the whole of my body down. Does that make sense? Because I can still stand there and feel, comfortable with the water temperature that low. That means that my whole body is not getting a shock. It's just slowly, bringing the heat, internal heat of my body down. And then you can, go to bed knowing that you've cooled your body off before you even get into bed. And as I always say, if you really are still too hot. Take a wet, if you've got a long shawl, what do you call it, scarf, a long scarf, a big one, just wet the whole thing, get into bed and put that wet scarf over you. If you haven't got that, take a spare sheet and spritz it down pretty well so it's almost, pretty wet, and then just get underneath that sheet. What will happen is you will find that the heat of your body will evaporate that water, and that will cool you down, as Jody well knows. All right, so here we go. This is about opinions part 2. For those of you who were with us last week, we talked all about how we form opinions, and today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how do we deal with other people's differing opinions more politely. And boy, did I need that one this week. I'm going to tell you about that in a minute. But first of all, nothing others do. And wait a minute, let's start with this. It says, don't take anything personally, all right? This is the quote. Nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own dream. And when you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. I realized this week that I hadn't, I think those of you who are regular viewers know that I've got an ongoing battle with the manager of this community. And she believes she's right on the point of law, and I disagree with her. And as you will hear, things happened this week that triggered my PTSD, and not surprising at all. But I then realized I need to stop this fight. All right, I need to stop fighting with her, and I'll show you what I've been doing. What drives me insane, let me start by that, is she keeps arriving without booking an appointment to see me. She just pitches up, and she pitches up at a whim. So I have no warning that she's coming. Now, I think those of you who know me pretty well know I like to be prepared for things, right? So if you're coming to fight me, I would like warning of that. All right. I don't want to be a happy camper, which I was on that particular day, open my door and find out I have, two people standing in front of me. And then, as it happened, it ended up with a third, and 3 against 1 doesn't work well with me. So number one, I like to be prepared. So, and I don't like being ganged up on. I'm pretty certain you'd all agree with me on that one. And so I would like to have an appointment made so that I have time to get, either a witness in place or, at least some moral support in place. And one of the things that happened was when I said to the person concerned, you really are about to say things about my property that lead me to believe that you've been on my property without my permission. I don't need your permission. Oh, yes, you do. So what I realized, can any of you see this, that if she does she have the right to have her opinion as strongly as I have mine? Can you all see that if I just for a moment get away from being right, can I see it from her perspective? Am I frustrating her as much as she is frustrating me? Absolutely. In fact, to the extent that she ended up saying, you've been nothing but trouble since you got here. and some of you are probably going, what, you, Sal? The reason is because I know my rights and I stick to them. And that makes me an unfriendly person to her. But can you see that neither of us is winning? We're just going like this. And then in the middle of it, one of my neighbors, who is friendly with the person that was fighting with me, decided just magically to take that moment to open the window and pretend to install their air conditioner. Now, you know why she opened the window to do that at that time. And of course, she started to chirp in as well. And I said, oh, I'm so glad you're there. And I've got witnesses here. Could I please ask you to weed this part of your garden? And you know something? Amongst other things that she said with a sneer, You're lucky to be alive. I went, wow. And I turned to one of the two people and I said, did we all hear that? I'm lucky to be alive. I consider that to be a threat. And the one person said, no, it isn't. And I said, the way it was said, yes, it is. It is telling me I am fortunate that somebody hasn't killed me yet. That is a threat. The way that it was said. Yes, Jody's saying, Sal, the fact you're not a doormat must be quite inconvenient for her. Yes, it is, very. However, can you see, Jody, can you see that I must be as frustrating to her as she is to me? Does that make any sense? If she firmly believes, which she obviously does, that that the law is right the way she's interpreting it, and I equally feel strongly that she is incorrect on that. So what I realized, Jody's saying, yes, I see it, but she's wrong. She doesn't think so. So does it make sense? It's no good my fighting her anymore. Okay? Why? We both refuse to move off our position. So there's no point fighting her anymore. So what I did was decide I'm not going to fight her anymore. I'm going to make sure she doesn't get onto the property without permission, but I am not going to fight her anymore. And what I did was I wrote to the governing body of the communities like mine and said, could you please speak to the owner? Right? I've asked them to speak to the owner and explain the law to him and remind him that his employee is illegally quoting the law to the detriment and of his clients. It's no longer something I want to fight. Why? Why should I keep getting triggered by this? And why do I keep fighting? Can you see my point? It's just like, I need to stop fighting. I need to get this out of my control and into some, it needs to go up the ladder a bit. Yes, Jeannie's saying coming unannounced seems against the law. It also is against human politeness, Jeannie. Would you agree? So to me, it's called, hey, if you are in a business and your business is to be the manager of this community, that means that I, in my way, pay for for your salary. And therefore, I wish to tell you that, you don't just get to walk in onto the property anytime you feel like it and just presume I'm going to be available. This is be professional and let's make an appointment if you want to see me. All right. And Jeannie's saying agreed, but this woman has proven not to be polite. Exactly. But do you think that she is probably as uncomfortable about seeing me as I am uncomfortable seeing her? Does that make sense, Jeannie? So it's not about which one of us is right anymore. This is about, let's take it out of being personal and let's take it. I decided I'm just going to be professional about it now. And, this is called, hey, you've pitched up, you presume I'm available, but I'm on my way out. Grab my keys and go. Right? This is like, I don't have to stay and listen to it. How about this one? How many of you agree that it would be good if we didn't have a conversation with somebody I agree with unless I'm prepared to listen to their perspective? Interesting. Jeannie has the opinion that she's pulling rank, all right? A part of her likes doing this to you. Yes, I know that, Jeannie. But that's why I'm not going to let her deal with me anymore. All right. This is now, and my next move will take her to tribunal. There is such a thing as mediation, and I will do that next. If I can't get the owner to listen to this, I will take it to tribunal. So I'm also going to ask her politely as I can, have you checked this out with your lawyer? Or, and if you have, could I see your lawyer's opinion? All right? Could you send me a copy of your lawyer's opinion? Not yours, your lawyer's opinion. And if you haven't bothered to do that, then okay, then I will just go straight to tribunal, because then this is personal to me. And you're doing it not only to me, but to other, people in the community as well. So, but can any of you find it in your hearts to see some area where I feel sorry for her? Because I can see that she genuinely believes she is right. By the way, she's got an issue about where my boundary is on my site that I have. And what I've decided is I'm not going to take her arbitrary, the line is here, waving with her hand, that includes half my driveway. Now, you and I both know. My driveway was not built encroaching on the next person's site. All right. For those of you who don't know, I own my home, but it sits on rented land, if you like. And so the thing is that you and I both know they didn't build a double driveway on my site here, and half of it belongs to the next site. I mean, it doesn't make any logical sense. So what I'm going to do is say, hey, I tell you what, I know you honestly believe you're right on the site, the boundary. Could you please give me a copy of the site plan you gave to the municipality here, the one that they have on record? Because I am certain that it will answer that question for us both. All right? Now, she has the right not to agree to any of this. But then I will just keep disappearing, right? Because it's like, and she, I actually feel sorry for her in some ways, all right? Because she must be as frustrated as I am. I gave it a lot of thought this week. How about this for a quote? Opinions aren't facts. Stop worrying about what people think about you, all right? So the fact that I've been nothing but trouble since I arrived, I think is a fact. I have been nothing but trouble for her because I won't just arbitrarily believe everything she says to be fact. I check the law on things. All right, Jane is saying, my daughter is currently arguing with me. She is positive she is right. Her way of arguing is vicious. She recently called me a fascist. I decided to stop talking to her for a while. Yes. Now, see, again, Jeannie, it's an opinion. And that's why I wanted to, really have us talk about this, because I'm pretty certain that, we're going to be having more and more discussions about this, especially those of you who live in the States as we go into the next political cycle. And I don't think, Jeannie, I think you know this, I don't think you're a fascist. All right. I would never say that of you at all. I think you have different political views, and you're entitled to them. And I have also got nothing but respect for you in the way that you manage to stay civil when you have these discussions. So can you at any point, Jeannie, and I know you to be a very kind-hearted person, all right, can you see that quote that we started with, about the fact it's a projection of their own stuff, the fact that she believes she is right on her political views, all right, doesn't give her the bandwidth to be able to listen to your right. And I would like to hope that every time that we have political discussion here, Jeannie, that I actually go out of my way to get your opinion, because I want to know, how does the other side see this? And yes, if you are fighting with somebody that refuses to listen to your point of view, or make it personal in calling you a fascist, for example, deciding to walk away from it is not a bad idea. I've got a few other strategies, Jeannie, which I thought you might appreciate. The interesting thing is, okay, so we know that we don't have to reply, Jeannie. And one of the things that I learned very early on with DearMamaSal was when the haters come on, I actually don't even have to reply. Would that be fair? Even though they're saying the most terrible things about me, I don't have to reply. However, I think you all know that I'm a polite person. So I think if you are, you believe yourself enough that you are prepared to put it in writing, then at least I can do is acknowledge that fact. And so I make it a point, and some of you will have seen me do that. When somebody writes me a nasty comment on my site, I normally go out of my way to make sure I answer them and thank them for their opinion. Yes, Jenny says, I always try to be kind. I can admit being wrong at times, but I do not enjoy harming others with words. Yes, I think that is actually, Jenny, a very smart tactic, all right, is to say to yourself, am I going to let this person turn me into somebody I don't want to be? However justified you might feel, all right? You do know that that person suddenly turning around to me and saying, you want to be lucky, think yourself lucky that you're alive. I realized in that split second that that was a reaction to the fact that I said, I wonder whether you could, please mow these weeds down, and because I know for a fact that you haven't done it since September. And then she said, I did it 2 weeks ago. Well, the weeds, all my neighbors have been commenting on it for months. I've said you must have the most incredibly good fertilizer that you're feeding those weeds. And by the way, just for the reference, I've been taking pictures of them month by month. And I can actually prove that you didn't mow this 2 weeks ago. But if you want to believe that, then go right ahead. Right? So I don't need to fight this person because what they're doing is lying. And Jeannie, I'd like to give you credit here because it's like the next quote says, I must respect the opinion of others, even if I disagree with them. So can you all see that if I want to be the person I like being, I need to respect the opinion of that manager, however wrong it may be. And therefore, to keep punishing her is not really the right thing to do. Why? Because you and I both know if you keep on doing what doesn't work, you're not going to get anything changing. All right. So I need to change it up a notch. And I thought about just going to my lawyer and getting a cease and desist order. I also thought about going to the police, by the way, because in the course of all that, I was threatened. And I do believe that the police would protect me from somebody coming onto my property without my permission. That's called trespass. And to do it, when I'm not aware of you doing it, still makes it trespass. The greatest prison people live in is the fear of what other people think. How many of you have been in that prison in your time? And the fact that this person thinks I'm nothing but trouble, I think they're right. I really think she's right. I am nothing but trouble because justice and fairness is very high on my list of priorities. It's part of my character. It's part of who I am. I have stood up against far stronger people to protect somebody I thought was being unfairly treated. And some of you probably can imagine me doing that. I was prepared to risk everything, 25, 27 years of service. I was prepared to risk all of that to stand up for something that I thought was wrong, stand against something that was wrong. And by the way, there is a quote somewhere that says, if you don't stand up for anything, then what do you stand for? All right? It's okay to stand your ground every now and then. All right? It doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you somebody that says, enough. Here's the boundary. I don't want any more of this. But do I keep having to go through the trauma of it? No. Interesting. Jeannie's saying, you know how to stand alone, and it's difficult and brave. It frightens other people. Yeah, you know something, Jeannie? I'm reading a book at the moment. And let me just give you the quote from it. Huh. It's called Primary Greatness by Stephen Covey. You know, he was the one that wrote The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, amongst other books. But, you know, he's got this new one called Primary Greatness. And I decided, you know, that I would read it. And the one quote that sort of caught me and I thought we might share was his definition of integrity. And what Stephen Covey said was integrity is the combination of humility and courage. And I thought, I've always thought that to me, integrity is always what you think is what you say is what you do. In other words, you're congruent. But I thought that was quite interesting. And I asked myself, have I been humble as well as brave? And I actually, each time I have the conversation with this person, say to her as politely as I can, you know, I know you don't believe this right now, but I have for the last year been trying to help you by, you know, making sure you understand the law. But you are choosing to cherry pick it and use it against me and make insinuations and so forth with it. That's your right. But I want to say that I am tired of trying to teach you. Obviously, you don't trust my opinion. And that's your right. I understand that. So now I'm not going to play this game anymore. This game of yours of intimidation. I'm not playing it anymore. I'm going to send it up the line, beyond my pay grade type thing. And let's see how you do against the next level that I will send your way. And by the way, if I hear any threats against me, again, not from her, by the way, the threat was not from her, it was from the third person. But it's just like, I'm now documenting absolutely everything that happens, all right? I've got a dossier like this, and I am taking photographs, and I am making sure that everything that goes on now is fully documented. So when I do send it up the line a bit higher, I'm not saying I think. I'm going to make sure that it is documented. And not with my opinions on things, just factual things. Like she came without an appointment. Am I entitled to have one made? You know, those sort of things. You know, and I'm just asking myself a lot of questions. Well, Ralph Waldo Emerson said people do not seem to realize that their opinion of the world is also a confession of their character. And Jeannie, I know how difficult it must be for somebody to label you. That's always personal when people label you. For somebody to label you as a fascist. Yes, Jeannie's saying if she brings a witness, you get one also. That was part of the reason that I was triggered, was she not only brought a witness, but she ended up with 3 against 1, all right? Which if you think about it, Jeannie, I could choose to take that as quite a compliment. That it took 3 of them and they still didn't win. So I was actually quite, when I thought about it later, I thought, well, they obviously needed strength in numbers. So in a way, it was a backhanded compliment. But I'm not going to play that game anymore. So when you look at these things, all right, what if I completely turn the way and I think of her in terms of the fact she believes that she's as right as I do? One of us is wrong, but that's the common ground. I'm pretty certain she'd agree to that. All right? I'm pretty sure that if I said, can we agree that one of us is wrong? Why? Because we both have had these very strong opinions and neither of us wants to move off them. So one of us must be wrong. If I can get an agreement on that, and I'm going to say, did you take it to the company lawyer to get an opinion? And if you didn't, you may want to think about it. And by the way, I've already asked somebody to go talk to the owner about the person who owns the land that I am renting. And what I've asked them to do is to explain these legal terms like site, common area, stuff like that, because and also to remind the owner that this manager is his employee and as such is his representative. And she is breaking the law. So I do feel sorry for her. Jody's saying she could bring a party of 12 and still be no match for you. Well, no, she thinks she's winning the intimidation thing. Unfortunately, the attack was strong enough that it did trigger my PTSD, and I started to shake like this. I'm not sure if it was from anger or the PTSD, but I literally started to shake like this. And luckily, I said, I need you both to witness that I have started to shake now. And I need you to make a decision whether you want to carry on pushing my buttons like this. And they left. And I wasn't nasty to them. I just said, I need you to see what this is doing to me. Of course, I went straight inside and documented it all. So I want you to think about Jeannie. Your daughter is frustrated, all right? So you know that. You're smart enough. You've got the emotional intelligence to know that. So my question to you is, does she have the right to her opinion? I'm pretty certain you will say absolutely to that from what I know about you. I want to tell you something, Jody. I must say the only 2 times in my life have I been in a court of law. Once as an expert witness and once as a defendant. And on both occasions, the judge or the lawyers told me I was in the wrong profession, that I should have been a lawyer. And I said, oh no, believe you me, I would never have made it as a lawyer. Way too much research. I love research, but picky stuff. I don't have the patience for that level of research. But when I went to protect myself once in a court of law, and I had got to the point where it's just the judge and I talking, and I said, "Am I allowed to ask your opinion on something on a point of law around this?" And he said, "Normally, no." As soon as he said, "Normally, no," I started to smile. I said, "So today would be a good day?" And he said, "Try me." And I said, "Okay." And then I asked the legal question, because I'm not a lawyer. I asked the legal question. I have to tell you, he did everything he could not to laugh. His whole body language. And he said, although I'm not normally in the attitude of giving legal advice to people before me, you're quite right on that. I said, thank you. That's all I wanted to know. All right, so Jeannie's saying she's had the right to her opinion, but she does not have the right to try and harm me. My decision, back off. Yes, that gives you back the control. The same way as, can you see, Jeannie, that fighting this person no longer benefits me at all? All right, the same way, all right? When it's got down to that you are throwing personal insults, right? Then, like I'm nothing but trouble. It's like, you know how much I wanted to answer back. but there's no fixing stupid, but I kept my mouth shut. You know, because, it doesn't make it better, does it? And that's the whole thing. Doesn't make it better, which is you're entitled to your opinion. All right. Now, for those of you who also know that I've had a situation with my family, and it's my sister's birthday today. Happy birthday, sister. And I did send her an electronic birthday card because regardless of whatever battles are going on, I know that birthdays are important, even if my brother says they're not. Um, it's like they are important, all right? So I did send it, and she sent me a one-liner back, but it wasn't just thank you. It was, and I hope you are okay. Now, I thought that probably was opening the door just a little bit, a smidgen. By the way, how many of you know what a smidgen is? It's like, I haven't heard that word since I left England, I don't think. Or maybe I have, but very rarely. It's a word that the Brits use a lot, a smidgen. And of course, watching Wimbledon this week, guess what? Somebody said that missed by a smidgen. And I'm going, yeah, at last. So what is a smidgen? Tiny, tiny little bit. So you would add a smidgen of cayenne pepper to something, right? A smidgen, a tiny little bit. All right, Jeannie's saying smidgen is very familiar to me. Interesting. You have European in your background, would be my guess. Because it's not something that you hear in North America a great deal. But what I found out is people with European background use it because it is actually, I think it's actually a legal measure, smidgen, but I could be wrong. Jodie's probably checking it out. If you have an opinion about my life, please raise your hand and now put it over your mouth. How many of you are going, oh yeah, like that? All right, let me repeat it. If you have an opinion about my life, please raise your hand. Now put it over your mouth. And remember that my famous quote, I always give it at times like this, which is from Terry Cole Whitaker's book, what you think of me is none of my business. Ah, interesting. Yes, that's right, Jeannie. I'd forgotten. All right. Jeannie's father came from Russia and her mother came from Riga in Latvia. All right. So what I'm saying is that for you to have learned the word smidgen somewhere that's not something that, either your teacher came from Europe or something. It's to me, it's not a word that's used in North America very much. But I could be wrong. Could be wrong. So do you all agree that fighting somebody that refuses to move is pointless? And I am pointless because I refuse to move off my position. Do you understand? I can see that in myself. I've turned the mirror. And you all say, well, why would you? You're right. Well, but it's telling her that I'm right doesn't help, apparently. All right. Or showing her that somebody else, that's higher up the pecking order also tells her that she is not right. Apparently that doesn't have input either. Yes, thank you, Jody. I thought it was a legal measure and it is. It's 1/32 of a teaspoon. You are such a star, Jody. I don't know how you do what you do. 1/32 of a teaspoon. That's a little bit. All right, and this is another nice quote. It said, I used to care about what people thought about me until one day I tried to pay my bills with their opinions. So what are we going to do about these people that have differing opinions in the coming months and years? All right. My suggestion is take it all as practice. All right. I actually was talking to my friend Yvonne, and I said, I know that God sent me here for a reason, or I believe that, right? Same as I met Yvonne. The reason I had to buy my previous house was to meet Yvonne and help her and her son, and then in turn, Yvonne helped me. So I can see that wisdom, right? Because God doesn't make stupid choices. And then I keep saying to myself, I know you sent me here for a reason. And part of me is going, even though I fail to be able to see it. So, but I did bother to check whether I am correct or not legally. And so if she still won't listen, then you can see that it's really not something I need to do. So, I think it's a really important thing, Jeannie, that you get over to your daughter, which is, I respect the fact that you have a different opinion, and I respect the fact that you have the right to have it. However, when you make it personal, then it hurts me. And I would say, Jeannie, that when you make it personal and add words like fascist, that hurts me. But Jeannie, did you look up the word fascist? What does it actually mean? Did you look it up? Because sometimes, it's not as insulting as you think it is. Yes, Jeannie's saying, what scares me is the brutality some people show when they differ. And that's why I want us to start practicing. Let us be the role models that we wish other people were. All right? Let us make sure that we don't fall into the trap. So, Jeannie, did you bother to check the word? The reason I say that is I can remember being in a situation one day where somebody in a position of power called me a name, and I reacted pretty strongly because my understanding of that word was what it was. And I actually went back and I went into the dictionary and I checked the real meaning of the word. And it was what I thought it was. So I took the real meaning and the quoted reference and said, this is what the word actually means. Is this what you meant to convey to me, or was your understanding of the word different from mine? You see, my attitude is sometimes people use these words, and Jeannie, why do they use words like that? Because they can't fight you on what you're saying. All right, so Jeannie's saying that the legal definition of a fascist is authoritarian, ultra-nationalistic. Do you believe yourself to be in favor of authoritarian people? Or do you feel that you are authoritarian? I guess some people would say that of me. My manager, for example. And are you a very strong nationalist? I would think yes. But the common, if I may use that word, but the common understanding of the word fascist is normally linked to Nazism. Would you agree? And, I am pretty certain that you would not be offended at being called a strong believer in your nation. See, I don't think that you would have a problem with that. It is possible that the reason you have a problem is what you do is automatically link it through to the Nazis. So, interested in your opinion of that. So here's the quote that I really like as well. It said, most of all, differences of opinion are opportunities for learning. Would you agree that eventually either myself or my manager are going to end up learning something, even if we don't want to. Right? And what I'm just going to keep saying is, hey, you know something? We are both pretty strong people with pretty strong ideas, right? One of us has got to be wrong. So I've pushed it up the line a bit. So you and I don't need to fight anymore. Right. Jeannie's saying, I believe in rules and laws, and I love my country. I totally believe that. And if that makes you a fascist, I would take it as a compliment. And maybe that's your perfect answer, Jeannie, is to say, you know, I've checked the word and I was offended by it when you first used the word, but I've subsequently gone into it a bit more. And basically what I found out is somebody who believes in rules and laws and love their country. And yes, I would say, yes, that's true of me. And I'm proud of that. And I'm pretty certain that any of the yes, exactly, Jeannie. Okay for me to repeat that? That's I knew that was true, and that's why I was pretty certain you automatically linked it. Is it okay for me to repeat that, Jeannie? I just want to make sure because it's going to stay there. Just waiting for the time lag now. Because Jeannie's given the answer that I thought she would give me, but and also the reason for it. All right, let me get on to my next quote while I'm waiting for Jeannie to respond. 10% of conflict is due to a difference in opinion, and 90% of it is due to delivery and voice tone. True? 90%. You know, like that lady, when I said, you know, I will consider that a threat, and I was told, no, it wasn't. I said, I believe you me. The way she said it and the voice tone, yes, she did. Okay, so Jeannie's given me the okay. Thanks, Jeannie. Jeannie, answer to me about the difference between a fascist and a Nazi. And I asked her, did your mind go to Nazi? And she's just given me that um, clarification. And I was pretty sure that I was right in that call. She said, yes, and I'm surely not Nazi, since my background is Jewish. So you understand that your daughter's opinion of you was actually correct, but not if you take it the next step, which is to being a Nazi. All right? So who took that step? And by the way, maybe that's the clarification. Did she mean, you know, fascist as in Nazi, or did she mean fascist in another way? Because, all right, so you understand that if it was about being fascist in the true sense of what it means, then, you know, that was actually quite a compliment. Probably didn't mean it as a compliment, Jeannie, but if you take it in the true meaning of what it is. So you have a nice door left open to you if you choose to use it, which is to find common ground. You know, you were right. And unfortunately, my mind took it to the fact that you meant, you know, Nazi. And that's why I needed to walk away, because that is not true of me. How about this quote? If you fuel your journey on the opinion of others, you're going to run out of gas. So I look at it and go, we all, hopefully, and most of the people that are my viewers, live in a democratic society. And let us not forget that the whole thing about living in a democratic society is we are allowed to have an opinion. All right? That is one of the joys of democracy, is that you are allowed to have a dissenting opinion. All right? You know, you don't get thrown in jail for it. Now, I also have an issue in this community that the only messages that may go on the notice board are those approved by the manager, the same manager. So if you want to put something up that she thinks is contrary to her, obviously it's not going up, right? And so, you look at it and you go, that is not free speech. That is filtered speech. So I am sort of keeping note of these things because I don't believe that to be right either, at all. Now, I've got another situation where my opinion is pretty strong, but it's not getting me anywhere. Have I talked to you about the fact that I'm still getting mail from my previous owner of this house, the previous owner's bank? I have sent back every bank statement that they have sent me with strict instructions, return to sender, no longer lives at this address. And they're still doing it. And so how many of you are going, that's a fight that, it's not getting me anywhere. For 2 years, they haven't changed it. So then I wrote to the customer service department, wasted my time, wrote to the customer service department and said, please, could you help me and do something about this? And do you know what they wrote back? I was just blown away. It just pressed a whole lot of buttons for me, coming from customer service. It said, well, what you need to do is to go to your local branch and do this, and the other. And I said, why? You are customer service. Why should I have to do more? Do any of you understand what I'm getting at? Yeah, I know, Jody. Yeah, it frustrates them, right? But the truth is, Jody, if I wanted to stop, I'm going to have to take another step because obviously going to customer service isn't helping. I was thinking of maybe writing to the CEO of that bank. Thought that might get a bit of help. And go, I've tried calling a customer service department, but apparently in order for you guys to do your job, I need to do more. So I decided the more I want to do is to let you know what's going on in your customer service department, because maybe you'd like to have that changed. Oh, I've done that before. The funny thing is, Jody, I am a great believer, as you know, of rewarding good behavior. And if ever I get exceptional service, I never write to the store. Let's say in a store, I never write to the store manager. I find out who owns the company. All right, because somewhere up the tree, there is a CEO that owns this and other companies. I write to that one and I say, I thought you would like to know that I had exceptionally good service from an employee in one of your companies. Right? And why do I do that? Because I know if I write to the top of the tree, now, do I think the top of the tree is likely to necessarily reply to me? No, I know somebody is filtering that. But if I write to the top of the tree, it means that he or she in turn will write to, let's say, the next step down. Let me just think about that. Is probably an area manager. Agreed? So I know that this person will pass it on to the area manager and say, well done. All right. And this person, in turn, will write to the manager of the store. So by sending my letter up here, this person feels good, this one feels good, this one feels good. And of course, the manager will compliment the employee for making him look good. Makes sense. So it's a much better way of doing it. But I only do that if it's good stuff, normally. And if the customer service thing had done what they were meant to do, I might even have written it about customer service. But now, of course, I will be writing to the CEO of the company and saying, very politely, Are you aware that this is going on? And how do you feel, Mr. or Miss CEO? How do you feel that as a concerned citizen who's been incorrectly getting mail for 2 years and spent my time and effort to bother to write to your customer service department and let them know that and ask for them to help me, that I get told that I need to do more work? How do you feel about that? Do you think that is exceptional customer service? And do you think that it ingratiates me, makes me want to, bring my business to your bank? And Jody's saying, opinion, Jody's saying apparently the service part of customer service is optional for them. Yeah. But you see, what do I know? I know that that affects how I see the company. And that is really important. I had it happen once when I had some insurance. I think I might have told you, some of you, this before, but I was once refused. Um, hmm, what do you call it? Disability insurance, because I had antidepressants in my life, and they refused to to give me disability insurance unless I was prepared to pay a huge premium. And I said, that's not right. The reason it's not right is I was not warned by you at the beginning when I bought disability insurance, and you've been happy to take my money for some time. I was not warned by you that taking a medication prescribed by my doctor would void my insurance. How many of you can see that there's something fundamentally wrong with it? That either I listen to my doctor or I listen, you know, I should have been warned, because then I make a choice as to what I do. And yeah, Jody's saying very wrong indeed, right? So what I did was, I was a professional speaker at the time, so guess who kept getting up on stage and telling the story? And saying, so if any of you in my audience here happen to have disability insurance and you're on medication for depression, do not tell. Yeah, be very careful. You could lose it by telling the truth, as I did. But the funny thing was, and I knew it would happen, because every time I said, by the way, if there is a representative in an insurance company here that will not punish me for taking my doctor's advice, please contact me, because I need somebody else to take my disability insurance money. It's available for any of you that would. And somebody wrote to me the very next day and said, I will take it. And I said, thank you. And I gave her the business and stayed with her for as long as I was a professional speaker. You have that power. Jeannie's saying the woman who cleans my house once a month said the price of gas is killing her, but she's afraid to ask her clients for more pay. I gave her $10 more for gas, and she really appreciated it. Funny enough, that was something I wanted to ask you about. How many of you have noticed that the gas prices are dropping? I checked with Jody, and she said hers are dropping as well. Ours have dropped 20 cents now from their highest, which I was no, I lie. I think they've dropped 10 cents from their highest. So I'm pretty happy with that. Now then, I wanted to let you know, Jody, I wonder if you can help me on this. Let's get the facts here. Is there a direct correlation between heat and edema? Jody, could you sort of do whatever you do so well and just have a look at that for me while I talk about what's happened? I find that when the summer comes, my body starts to retain water. And even though I'm eating properly and even though I'm doing exercise, I start putting on weight. Do any of you relate to that? And I can feel, my body hanging on to water. I had an interesting thing happen this week. I went to go and get, prescription refilled and get that fourth booster shot from my pharmacy. And the pharmacist talked to me and kept telling me how impressed she was with me. And I said, yeah, I love to hear that, but do tell me why. And she said, anytime that you've told me about the fact you've got something that is going wrong, you then automatically tell me what you're doing to try and fix that. And she said, that is really so wonderful to hear, that you don't just hear the one bit, you immediately, the diabetes, what I did to the fact that I had diabetes and I had controlled it without going onto medication, blew her mind. She said, you must have a self-will of steel. And I said, no, but I did give up eating Mars bars, and change my diet thanks to the help of Jody, who taught me some of the things to do. And slowly but surely, I learned how to do those things, and I got my blood glucose under control. I said, I don't have a will of steel, but I don't want to be taking the medication, so it's amazing what you will do when you don't want to. All right? So Jody's given me the answer about the edema. That's the retention of water. Said it's common to experience edema on severely hot days. As the temperature starts to rise, the heat may cause the lower leg vessels to dilate. Okay, that can cause fluids to leak out, dilate being to, and then get trapped underneath the skin. With more fluid comes more swelling. And let me tell you, it's been so bad that even with all that I've been doing, I was down to, and I put on 5 pounds since it got hot. By the way, it's not hot inside my house, all right, because I've got the aircon now. But, my body knows that it's hot outside because I keep going out there. So the second conversation I had with the pharmacist was, I'm struggling with edema. And she looked at me and she said, and so what did you do? And I said, well, I know I can take water pills, but I don't like taking them, right? It limits what I can do in a day, right? Because you need to be near the washroom. I said, so I don't like to take them. So she said, and I've got to ask the question, so then what did you do? And I said, well, when it gets really bad, I take half a pill. And that has a pretty dramatic effect on me. But I said, I did get myself an under-desk bike. And she said, you got an under-desk bike? And I said, yep, because I knew I needed to up my steps to get my circulation working better, but I didn't want to be going out in the heat. And she just rolled her eyes and she said, your doctor must love you. And I said, meaning? And she said, each time you've got a problem, you start working on a solution where possible and not take the pills. And I said, yep. So I said, that didn't work with my high blood pressure, unfortunately. But I've got to show you because you guys are going to be pretty stunned with this. Does anybody a solution? That's so cute, Jody. Do any of you have other? I know Jody's got a elliptical one. I bought the bicycle type one. But do anybody else, any of the other viewers, and if you're watching on the replay, perhaps you'll leave comments on that. Do any of you also have that? Jeannie's saying, very topical. Well done, Jeannie. I love your humor. Main gas prices went down a smidgen, tiny little bit, but then went back up. Wow, that's sad to hear. What am I doing? Steps. Okay, hold on. I want to show you what a difference that has made. Okay. Look at what a difference having that little machine has made. I have just about doubled the number of steps that I take in a day. I have gone from an average of about 4,000 without even trying, right up to, look at some of the numbers I've had. This is going up until yesterday. Look at the numbers. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I want to show you for two reasons. Number one, I wanted to show you that even for me, I'm about to be 75 next month, I can lift this with one hand. All right. Now, is it light? No. But even with arthritis, I can lift it with one hand. All right. So there it is. And all you do is you sit wherever you want to sit and have it in front of you. And then you pedal. Now, I am amazed how I actually start to feel guilty now. I don't know, Jody, you've got an elliptical where yours goes a different way, right? Mine's just a pedal. But I actually feel guilty if I'm sitting there and not doing it. It's the most peculiar thing. It's like, why wouldn't you do it? If you're going to sit down and binge watch something, why wouldn't you quietly exercise at the same time? Because Jody says she can relate to this fact when she's sitting there and not doing it, she's beginning to feel guilty. So the question that I have, Jody, is in terms of all the things that Lionel found out about himself. One of the things I said to Jody was, she's so lucky. They are so lucky to have had this opportunity to find out what was lying quietly beneath that nobody knew about. Can any of you see that we could choose to see a diagnosis as a positive thing? I know that I went in for some tests not within the last year, and they found something, and my answer was, well, that's good to know that I've reached this age and this is only starting to show now. All right, so I try to see that even if the diagnosis is not what I wanted, that it's good to know about it. Why? If you know about it, you can do something about it, or it can be treated or not, depending. All right, but basically it's not unexpected anymore. It's like, I know this is a problem, so I can choose what I want to do with it. Knowledge is power. Absolutely, Jody. And I want to tell you something else that was really interesting about my meeting with this new pharmacist at my pharmacy. I got a wicked sense of humor, and I kept catching her on things that, were, and she would just burst out laughing. And after about the third time, she said, I really want to thank you for coming in today. And I said, because you like the abuse? And she said, you know something, you are so funny. You really are. And she said, what we do most of the day is pretty sad in a lot of ways, right? We're medicating people. And they've got problems, and that's why they need the medicine. She said, to be able to laugh out loud 3 times in the space of 15 minutes, she said, is such an unbelievably rare treat. And she said, feel free to pop in anytime for any minute reason. I said, why? So I can make you laugh? And she said, just seeing you will make me laugh now because I know that it's coming. And I said, I take that as a very serious compliment. Thank you. And so how many of you know I will go out of my way to pop in there and just go, are you smiling yet? Okay, fine, I can go. Because it's like, and I keep thinking about so many of my viewers, Jody and Jeannie and people like that, where I'm thinking, how many people love to see you? Because you're a kind person, way more kind than I am. That's my opinion. But, it's just like, I look at it and go, with so many sad people around today. One of the things that was discussed at the barbecue, by the way, it said weather permitting, and guess what? It's raining today. So officially, the thing should have stopped, not happened because it was raining. But that what I did, I said, I know it's raining, but I wonder whether anybody's there. So what I did was I decided to walk down to the community post boxes to see if I got any mail, but swing by to see if there were people on the driveway of where this barbecue was meant to happen. And there were. They were all in the carport. And I just burst out laughing. And I said, well, these are people who really did want to meet the neighbors, right? They were prepared not to be put off by rain. They still wanted to go and meet the neighbors. I said, how wonderful is that? How wonderful is that? And by the way, more came, and then more came. And I said, isn't that amazing that we all wanted to meet one another again so desperately that we didn't care about the weather? You see, how many people use the weather as the excuse? Well, they said weather permitting and it was raining. Well, yeah, some of us didn't care that it was raining. Some of us just wanted to go and meet the neighbors again. Makes sense. And what I was so happy about was that so many people did. And that to me was a gift, an absolute gift. I was so happy about it. So one of the discussions I've been having with Jody is about, how is Lionel coping with the fact that he's not Superman anymore, all right? That he actually does have some stuff going on about which he needed to be aware. None of us like it when we're not perfect people. And I am so grateful to Jody and Erin and all the other people who are regular viewers who share with me their illnesses, because it reminds me how much can be done. How much can be done with attitude. I look at Erin, and those of you who don't know Erin, I have had the pleasure to meet her. I actually got to meet her face to face. And in order to do that, I needed to lie down on a bed. Why? Erin only has use of certain parts of her body. She can move her head and she can move her right hand. Not the whole arm, but she can use her right hand. And that lady's strength of character just blows me away whenever I think of her or talk to her. And she's busy moving. She's decided that she wants to move the care facility where she's at, and she doesn't have, her daddy passed a few years ago. I got the pleasure of meeting him as well. What a great guy. And, it's just like I was saying to her, I know fully abled people that wouldn't be, making a move, right? Just because it's easier not to. And I don't know about you, but it's like if Erin can change her environment to try and change the way she's being looked after, then what is wrong with us? Interesting. Jody's saying that she took the opportunity when Lionel got, told about certain things that are going on in his body. She said to Lionel, thank you for the opportunity to support you the way that you have always supported me in medical issues. Yes, you can see it as a blessing, depending on how you want to look at it. Does he want that? No. He wants to be Superman. Well, hello. I want Brad Pitt. Doesn't mean I'm going to get him. Maybe he likes cougars. I don't know. And here's a nice quote, all right? A lion does not concern itself with the opinions of sheep. Do you understand my whole thing about I don't want to fight anymore? I am not my nicest person when I'm fighting. What about you? And how many of you agree with me that the fact that my sister bothered not just to say thank you for the card and run, but said, I hope you are okay, deserves a reply? All right? Doesn't mean we have to become best friends again. Well, not again, but best friends. But what it does deserve a reply of thanks for just adding that little bit. And, if she never writes back again, that's okay. right? I am only responsible for my side of this story, not anybody else's. And so I look at this whole thing about opinions, and if I sincerely believe that I have the right to my opinion, then I must equally respect the opinion of others. And as Jeannie so correctly said, and to acknowledge them politely. It is really important that we say, hey, you are entitled to that opinion. I don't think that I necessarily agree with it 100%, but I support the fact that you are more than correct to have them in your mind, right? With the information that you have. So let's not fight about this. So number one, if you possibly can, find common ground, all right? I think the only common ground that I have with this manager that I'm having the problem with is, can we agree that we both hold our positions to be true? And therefore, we're not helping each other by carrying on fighting with each other. I have decided to go up a level and have somebody talk to your owner. My question to you would be, as a matter of interest, right? Try and make sure that you've done the right things. Have you got your company's legal department to give you their opinion? And if you haven't, you may want to just check that out before I need to take it up another notch again. What I'm making sure that she knows is I'm not stopping, right? I'm going to carry on. She doesn't frighten me that much. The fact that she triggers me is my stuff. Would you agree? For her to trigger me, I lost control. I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all, quite honestly. And that's why I've been doing a lot of praying and thinking about it, going, okay, what did I need to do so that I wasn't triggered? Just walk away. Go back in my house and close the door would have been a good idea, right? Saying, I'm sorry, at the moment you're on my property without my permission, so I wonder if I could ask you to leave, and not wait for an answer and just turn around and leave. It's my right. And Jeannie, this is a quote that I think would be fair for you as well. I don't mind a difference of opinion. I do mind hate. When people say hateful things, and the question was, did Jeannie's daughter say that she thinks that she's a fascist out of hate or lack of frustration, maybe? All right, that she couldn't get Jeannie to think her way. And we've all been there, haven't we? But hating one another doesn't fix anything. Therefore, Jeannie, I believe she's given you the perfect opportunity to get back to her and say, you know something, I'd like to apologize for walking away when you said you thought I was a fascist, because I automatically linked that to Nazism, and therefore, being Jewish, that was very hurtful for me. However, I've since looked up the word fascist, and it means, and then give the proper definition, and therefore I actually choose to thank you for calling me that, because I do have a very strong opinion, and by the way, I am fiercely loyal to America. You were correct in that. I unfortunately, in my mind, also linked it to white supremacy. If that's what you did your mind take you to white supremacy at all, Jeannie, when she called you a fascist? Because I think that's part of the problem with what we do inside our heads, right, is that we automatically take it the next step. Being told I've been nothing but a problem since I arrived made me out to be a bad person. And my question is standing up for my rights being a bad person? I don't think so. And if I genuinely don't think so, then that opinion shouldn't hurt me. Should being a guilt word, but it did. So if it did hurt me, why? Why am I fighting this? This is stupid in my view. It's a legal thing. And why haven't I gone to a lawyer? Well, I don't think it's fair that I should have to spend money. What about you guys? However, if I take it to arbitration, to the tribunal, it might cost me $75, but I'll get a legal opinion back, that's for sure. And I believe that if they find me to be correct, that they do not charge me, they will charge the owner, not me. And so to me, it's a cheaper way of doing it, right? Going through the mediation process rather than going through lawyers. My lawyers. Why should I spend the money? So let's be respectful. Let's understand that it's really important when somebody is abusing you that we keep control. And the way we keep control is to remember that they are entitled to their opinion. And keep repeating that. Hey, I want to tell you, I don't think that you are a bad person. I think that you've been ill-advised somewhere along the way. That you believe this to be true, but I respect the fact that you believe it to be true enough to fight me on it. Do you understand? I can turn this into a compliment. And I am so sorry to be fighting you on it, in as much as I, like you, believe from the bottom of my heart that what I'm saying to be true. So we are both right in our minds. Obviously, one of us is wrong, and we need to get that fixed. Otherwise, why would we continue to this? It's not fair. One of us is going to find out that they're incorrect. And I'm pretty certain you know that it's me. The same as I'm pretty sure that I know it's going to be you. So let's get a sense of humor about this. And let's take it up the line. If you haven't already if you already had the legal opinion, just let me have a copy of it so you can educate me from your lawyer. Right? What your lawyers thought about it. And by the way, if my property line is somewhere along your waving hand, no, that's not right. I might accidentally go across the line the wrong way. How about you send me the site map that you lodged with the municipality when you registered this place, so I can know exactly where my boundaries are. By the way, if the boundary is where you say it is, let's walk to the other side of my house. And what do you say about the driveway of my neighbor? Do I have the rights to half of their driveway? And by the way, what about the hedge that they religiously water because it's theirs, that is only 4 feet from my house? And I believe that is the legal boundary, is somewhere between 3 and 4 feet. Not sure which it is. That's why I want to check it. Knowledge is power, remember? And I don't think that them being right or wrong gives us permission to be rude. I was quite proud of myself, but the truth is, when somebody said you're lucky to be, you need to consider yourself lucky to be alive, that triggered me. I really heard that as a threat. Even though I was told it wasn't a threat. And I said, actually, the way it was said, the body language that went with it, yes, it was. All right. And so Jeannie's saying the same argument as my manager, Jeannie, and that is, my daughter says she's not giving her opinion, she is giving facts. Right? And that is what is so sad about political discourse. And that's the reason why so many people don't like having political discussions, is people believe themselves to be right on their facts. So the question I would ask, Jeannie, is can you find any common ground? Like, I am so proud of you that I taught you to stand up for what you believe. Right? You could turn this into a lot of compliments if you chose to. Do I agree with you? Absolutely not. But that's okay. I'm just so proud of you for standing up for what you believe. And I'm pretty certain that you will agree that I don't have to agree with you to be a nice person. I am a nice person with a different point of view. And in a democracy, that is our right to have differing views. You see, I think when we look at that, it's the same thing with what's happening with the abortion debate and everything else that's happening in the States, right? We don't have to threaten people in their lives. We need to respect them. I saw the most amazing interview done somewhere, Tennessee, I think, or somewhere, where, there were four or five GOP people vying for the top position. I want to tell you what I heard out of the mouths of some of those people. It wasn't even that I thought they were wrong. It was laughable what they were saying. And I'm going, what has happened that people believe this? But that's just my opinion, that it's laughable. They can believe what they're saying to be true. And I am so grateful to live in a democracy where I'm allowed to have a different opinion and not get thrown in jail. And then I also totally believe in the power of the people, that it's not up to me to tell people that they're wrong. It's like, let's see how many other people agree with me that this is laughable. When will we find out? When they go to the polls. When we go to the polls. Right. I actually shared it with Jody, and it was funny because Jody said I had to watch it a second time because I couldn't believe what I just heard. I had the same reaction. I'm going, if I have to be honest, and it's sad with tears in my eyes, I thought it was an SNL skit, Saturday Night Live skit, right? But I really did think they brought some pretty good actors in because they looked like the right people. But I thought it was, and that's why I started to laugh because I'm going, oh, that's good. And then when I realized it wasn't a skit, it was people actually were saying that they believed this. It was still laughable. I laughed as hard at that. Yeah, Jody's saying I totally agree. It looked like an SNL skit. Yeah. So think about it, Jeannie. Find reasons to compliment your daughter on this one. All right? And maybe you agree to not discuss politics with each other. Because I'm pretty certain it hurts her as much as it hurts you. And if you hear her start to talk politics, you go, hey, honey, think we agreed that we wouldn't discuss politics. I respect your right to have your opinion, and I hope that you respect my right. I personally, as I've said many times, Jeannie, I love to hear your opinion on things. Don't always agree with them, but I love to hear it. Why? It makes me think, right? It makes me think. I need to know what you think, because if I don't know what you think, then I don't know how to query my opinion. All right? I go away and I think about it and go, yeah, that's an interesting point. Let me think about that a bit more. So when I first heard that you were called, name calling, that you were called a fascist, I reacted the same way as you probably did. My mind immediately, I'm of an age, my mind immediately went to Nazis. And then I thought, I think she's Jewish. That would have been a terrible thing to say. So you understand, I was pretty sure I knew how your mind had tracked that. But then I went back and went, wait a minute, her daughter didn't live through those times. Or soon afterwards. I was born just after that, but but it was part of my upbringing, obviously. And I thought, well, what if she has a different understanding of the word? When you think about it that way, can you see that there's part of me that wants to compliment the manager for standing her ground on what she thinks is right? Even though I don't agree with her, you got to give her kudos for standing her ground. Even if you don't want anybody fighting me, can any of you see that she must be quite courageous to keep coming and fighting me on it, knowing that I'm not going to back down, right? Experience tells her that. So why does she keep doing it? And by the way, what I don't like is that I don't get any of this in writing. All right. I'm an older person. If you want to tell me what you think is wrong in my place, by the way, I stop there and go, that means you've come onto the property while I wasn't here without my permission? Oh, I'm not interested in what you saw and you didn't like. If you came without warning, without written warning, no, I'm not interested because it's not legal. You understand? And so it's just like, I don't want to fight this. I don't have to fight this. And I thought this was really interesting. The president of the association that I've been in touch with, she wrote back something to me that I thought was an incredibly wise statement. And she said, I'm glad you brought it to my attention because it certainly isn't worth having a heart attack over. And Jeannie, I think that your daughter standing up for what she believes showed how well you've taught her to debate, but the fact that she name called is maybe a learning moment for her, which is, hey, you know something? I totally agree with your right to have your opinion. Just, when you start adding labels to it, that's when it gets personal. And when it gets personal, it hurts. And I will continue to walk away if you hurt me. It's not that I don't love you. Love you to bits. You're my daughter. Just, I don't have to take abuse. Makes sense, Jeannie? Well done. I'm so glad you talked about it, Jeannie, because I am certain other people would agree with you. All right? And maybe you wouldn't have had the courage just to walk away that you did. Remember, integrity is both humility and courage at the same time. To be able to have enough emotional intelligence to go, this is getting us nowhere, I need to walk away, is emotionally intelligent. And I believe saying to myself, I choose not to fight at this level is the correct thing. Why? It's not getting me anywhere. And if it's not getting me anywhere, it's not worth getting triggered and possibly have a heart attack over. Make sense? Time to let it go up the ladder a bit and have somebody else make that decision. And by the way, if I'm wrong, which we know I'm not, but if I am wrong, how many of you know I would have the character to write and apologize for that? Think about that. Be the person you want to be, even if it means you're wrong. Be the person that you want to be. And that is what I have to remind myself now is don't let somebody else's judgment of me bring me down to that level. Not interested anymore. All right? You want to name call me? I can't stop you, but maybe my lawyer can. Or maybe the tribunal can, if I go that route. And maybe the police can. Not my fight anymore. This is DearMamaSal saying, what was it Kenny Rogers said in The Gambler? Know when to hold them, know when to fold them. Makes sense? It's time for me to fold that deck of cards and get my hand and just go, hey, this is not my fight. I will not fight you anymore. It's too sore. And Jeannie, I pray for you that your daughter gets the message about there's a difference between hate speech and opinion. And on the other hand, it was the way that you took the word fascist and linked it to Nazi that caused you to walk away. So I think, being the person you are, a nice one to be able to write and say, I looked it up. It actually was a compliment. And I'd like to thank you for that. You see how it will diffuse the anger, Jeannie? This is DearMamaSal saying, as in all things, it's not what people say, but it's how they say it and how we interpret it that causes the problem. Do I think In my own personal view, do I think that maybe Jeannie's daughter did mean it as an insult? Yeah, I do. But maybe I'm wrong. I'm prepared to look at that possibility. Make sense? This is Dear Mama Sal saying, let's be polite. Let's work really hard at staying polite while we disagree, and to give other people the same rights that we would like them to treat us with. You understand? It needs to go both ways, not just one way. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, have a great week. By the way, I'm going to put my Billy the Bike, I call him Billy the Bike, is going back into position so that I can now sit and pedal myself while I binge watch something fun for the evening. I have a friend of mine coming for dinner tomorrow, so I am looking forward to that. And as I said, today is a good day. I made a new friend. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, love you dearly. Bye-bye for now. Thanks, Jody and Jeannie, for backing us up. Jeannie, always a pleasure. Your courage to take these difficult subjects and talk about them just blows my mind. Thank you so much. It's real stories that mean real things to people. I am so appreciative. Bye-bye for now.